Hi crafty peeps, welcome back to my channel. This is the story kit series where we'll be going through the Ali Edwards story kit of the month. This month the theme is work. I'll be showing you what I chose, how I made mini kits, and a little bit of the design process and what I'm thinking, and then through the magic of video you'll see the completed pages that came out of these kits. So I'm going to start out with this nice bright pink plus paper. I like that as a background. I love this card. This entire little kit that I'm going to set aside here is basically based on the colors of this card. So I love the combination of pink and orange and yellow usually, and that's what we have here. So I'm just going to pull some elements that match. We've got circles with those pretty colors. I'm not sure if I'll use all the circles, but I'll try. And then these vellum labels came in the kit. Love that this matches the typography on this card. We'll work that in there somehow. I'm not sure if I'll be able to use this, but I like this too. Again, very matchy, right? And then we have these little starburst things that say loving me, loving this, and best job. And there were tons of these. And I just went with all the ones that match this color palette. Now this one is going to be about my niece's job. This is actually not her first job, her second job. She's had it for quite a while, and she became a supervisor at the ripe old age of 16 and a half. And so I want to document that in her because I think that'll be really cute for her to look back on in later years. And it also went with the colors. These remind me very much of her. We're going to do a play on circles here. I have a lot of circles here, so I'm going to try to play on that. And I may do the pocket thing that I did last month again, right? So really basic. We'll cut this paper down and use a pocket. And on the opposite side, I think we'll have some fun with circles. Okay, so that's going to be my first one. Oh, so this is kit, just kit elements, right? And then from my stash, I pulled labels as I usually do. I pulled this I like this thing. This is a geotag. I forget where this came from. It's new. It's a newer collection. I will link it down below. I think I got this on at a cherry on top. And then this, I don't know. I've had this in my stash for a while. I wish that the work kit had come with at least one clock. You would think that would have been great, but it didn't. So I'm going to add one of my own. We'll see if we can work it in there with kind of the circle theme. All right, so that is one kit. Next kit, we're gonna go in a completely different direction color-wise, and I am going to start it with this pattern. I kind of like the graphic feel of this. See, this is something I would have never bought. I would have never picked this up, but I like it. It's kind of funky. I'm not gonna use too much of it because I don't like it that much, but maybe a little strip, right? This I love. This saying I love, and anytime you talk about sweat, determination, hard work, it reminds me so much of my dad. He is the most hardest working person I have ever known in my entire life. I wouldn't have what I have today if I hadn't had him for a dad. So I really want to document that and what that looked like and the sacrifices that were made, especially for my son to see that he also rose on the back of this man. So from the kit, those two things, that's my story. Another circle. I love these little vellum things. I don't know how I'm going to use them, but I really want to work that in there. 9 to 5 is kind of ironic because if there was one thing my dad did not do was work 9 to 5, he probably worked 80-hour weeks. So little irony there, and I'm gonna work that into the story and into the page design. The starburst that we saw before, almost all of them were really bright colors, but there was one black one, so I held that off. Again, my labels, these were from Felicity Jane, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but when she went out of business, I stocked up on these labels. I love the weight of these labels. I wish somebody else would pick that up. Okay, and then I have also from Felicity Jane. I have a lot of odds and ends from her. I like this tag too. I just like the black and white dots, and I thought maybe I could use one more thing. So no idea where I'm going to go design wise with this, but my story is strong here and I want to keep it, yeah, more story focused and maybe a little less design on this one. And we'll see what happens with that. Next one is, this is work. This is work. This is work. I love this paper. I want to somehow use these pockets. I loved this. And it's funny because this is where my story is going to came from. When I saw this, it looked like a wheel. My son, we just bought him his first car. He has a Jeep. He did have to work for it, not in a way where he had to actually go to work and earn the money for it, but he earned it through school. And so, and his grades and his GPA and all that good stuff. So I want to say that type of a story. It's a different type of work, but really important to us. So somehow I'm going to use this, and I like this. If nothing else, I love this strip of pattern. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to use this, but this was kind of cool for me to list maybe the grades he got in each of the classes he took, and I'll you know, put it tucked in somehow. That's the idea that I'm going with. More circles. We've got lots of circles. Again, I picked this one because it matches the colors. More of those cool vellum labels. We'll work that. And work story. I like this chipboard because it's a different type of work story. And then from my stash, I have this Jeep wheel. And so this that reminded me of the Jeep wheel on the back also reminded me of this. This is like a rubber kind of embellishment. I don't know how old this is. This is one of those vintage things that I hold on to when I love something. I don't care how old it is. I had to have it more than 10 years. Couldn't even tell you who the manufacturer is. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get questions about that. I wish I could remember, and I took it out of the packaging, which I don't always do, but of course this time I did. So somehow I'm going to work that definitely into there. I chose this chipboard frame, super nondescript, just like it for the color. So there's green here. His Jeep is also like an army green color. So this is going to go well with the picture. And then this, again, no idea how long I've had this. Probably a long time since it's sticking. But I don't know. I kind of like these numbers and the white to gray. And I'll see if I can add a little piece of this washi tape. And I think that's going to be my third kit and my third story. And now I'm going to show you a little bit. I didn't show this part last time, but I got questions about it. Like, so what were the leftovers? So these are the leftovers from this kit that I did not set aside. And you're going to see a common little theme on these. The handwriting. I love the handwriting. I think it's beautiful, but I don't like other people's handwritings in my books, and I don't know why. Sometimes I use it. I think I used a little piece. I think I used the plastic word, which was also the handwriting, last month. So I'm gonna like challenge myself to use it sometimes. But I've noticed that the pieces that I tend to put aside that I don't make it into my mini kits have a lot of the handwriting, which I know I'm probably like a really odd duck because like I think that handwriting, Allie's handwriting, is super popular. Again, love this saying. So see, this card I will keep because I will use this saying, work on being in love with the person in the mirror who has been through so much but is still standing. Love that. I love the things that Allie picks like this. So I will set this aside. I will probably put it on my work desk to remind myself of that. And you might see it in my other work. I'll use it as a quote and I'll use it with a different font, and I'll make something for myself with it. Some of these are just not my style. This is not probably something I would ever pick up. And some I just didn't have a story for. So some of these things will be put in a pile and I give them away. And some of these things will go into my general stash, like these. And some of these, like, again, there's the handwriting. Love these coworkers. I didn't have a story for that anyway. Passionate about this. And I do love these. So see, this and this and this will end up in my stash. and this. I love this card. It just didn't fit in, but I actually love the entire card. So this will go to my stash, and this will go to give away, and the rest I'm going to use. All right, so through the magic of video, hold on 1 second, and I will show you the completed pages. I'm going to add a really quick process video here just so you can see how things come together. Now this one was really easy because it's basically all about that 4x6 card. 4x6 card topped by a 4x6 photo is the easiest layout, and it's the easiest way to start on the base of this page. Now I used a really large letter M stamped for the beginning of a very large paragraph of text that I'm going to put down now. And I got that directly from magazines. I see that all the time in magazines and even online. I think it adds that punch of color and breaks up all those words and all that text. And right underneath it, just a little bit of blue text in another stamp. Now I'm going to add a little cluster using some pieces from the kit and the tag that I pulled from my own things, and layered a little sunburst just underneath for a pop of black. Added a little bit of that pattern just to break up the picture and the card. I thought that was getting a little bit lost. And then one tiny more little cluster of labels. On that label is the Spanish word trabajador, which basically means hard worker. And it went with the kit theme and my story. The last touch is the letter A, which is the first initial of my dad's name. And I just thought it needed a little black in that cluster. All right, so we just saw the process of this page, so I won't go through more of it. This is one of my favorites for story, not so much for design. I like the design fine, but I love that I documented this story, especially for Nico. And now, let's see this other page. This is my favorite page design-wise and color-wise. I love this one. I love these colors. And so I did use pretty much every single thing that I pulled and showed previously made it onto the page. So it's a little bit busy and yet still clean, which is the type of design that I love the most and gravitate to the most. My favorite part about it is this geotag. This is from 45th and Market. And the die cut actually was from Heidi Swab. So for me, this represents time and the geotag place. I wish the kit had come with something like this. It needed something like that. But I added it myself, so it turned out fine. So this was a 4x6 card. I cut it down really small. This is not a true pocket, not like I did last month where I tucked a bunch of different things into it. Really, it just frames out my photo. My niece works as a swim instructor, and so that's why I chose that picture of her in her bathing suit with the wet hair, what I call her Little Mermaid hair. And then the story is present here and past here, and that's why I put the picture of her when she was a little girl in the pool. And I just so remember her like this, and that she is now teaching kids how to swim, when in this picture she was wearing floaties and was so afraid to let go of the edge. I like that contrast. So lots of layering. Here we have the label and the chipboard, one staple. I always love the little bit of metal that the mini stapler adds. I didn't show previously the stamp that came with the kit, which I do get, and you'll see it here. So I used do the work, and passionate about this. And I love how it underlined these 3 little starbursts. If you take these out, you see that you don't have that bold contrast, and then when you put black on it, the orange and pink kind of pop. And I like that type of design. I like a lot of color, and I generally gravitate towards bright colors. I had originally placed the journaling on label paper, and I stuck it right down to the transparent circles, but it sort of like faded. There wasn't enough a pop of color, so I did use some pattern paper in a very pale yellow and a very pale orange here, just to add a little bit of color to the circles and balance out all the brightness of the hot pink. So that is that one. And then my last page, let me just move this out of the way. Okay. My last page is the about the Jeep. So this one, I really wanted to use this card. This was, I believe, a 3x8 card, maybe, or 4x8. I think it was for a traveler's notebook, but I wanted to use it in this size. So I knew I needed to add to it. And then what I ended up doing was just following that along. So this is the card that was originally from the kit. This was a pattern paper from the kit. It had 2 pockets. I ended up covering up one with the frame, my chipboard frame from my own stash. And I used the chipboard here to add a little weight to this side. I placed the story right in the pocket. I didn't come up with any like really amazing ideas to use the pockets. I'm sure that you'll see lots of examples of using the pockets to stick things in, but I just kind of wanted to go in a different direction. The tire that I had in my stash that reminds me of this sort of pattern. I did use this digital element for this part because in the kit it came red and I didn't really have red anywhere and it looked kind of off. So I printed it out and changed the red to green. This is the vellum label that came with the kit. I printed my journaling on clear matte label paper and just placed it right on there. And then I added eyelet because I felt it needed some kind of metal, and I almost always gravitate towards the mini stapler, but I wanted to use something a little bit different. So I pulled out my old stash of eyelets and used it there. I used a stamp. This, I don't think this came from this month. It didn't. And I stamped it in green because without it, it looked a little off. Like it needed green, a heavier part of green here. And so I decided to add it with stamping. So green here, green here. And then some of my stories here, but the rest of it, let me see if I can pull it out without destroying this, is actually right under here. So I used this, and that's just, you see how I use my scraps? There was a circle taken out of here. A little piece of green pattern paper, and I told more story. I probably will need to go back and just stamp this with a little word that says pull or more story under here. Carrie Bradford makes a great stamp set. I'll try to link it below for those types of hidden journaling. And that's it. Those are my 3 pages. My story, my 4x8 turned to 5.5x8. And this one that I love. And my dad. That's it for this month. Thanks so much for watching. Leave any comments below. I'd love to hear from you.